If you buy Destiny expansions as soon as they are released, well then I'm sorry to say, but Bungie is exploiting you as a loyal fan, and taking advantage of your fandom. Now before anyone starts raging in the comments about how this video is wrong, and how I'm stupid because I'm not blindly praising Bungie every second, now that they are no longer involved with Activision, let me make something very clear. I try to keep my opinions and content on this channel as balanced as possible. As you can see from some of my past content, I have critiqued almost every aspect of the game, but I also haven't shied away from giving praise to Bungie when it's deserved. I don't have it out for Bungie, and I'm not here to start unnecessary hate, or to just bring out pointless negativity. Rather, I want to have an intelligent and meaningful argument where I can lay out the issues with Destiny's pricing models and show how objectively they are exploiting fans, before going into subjective territory. If you love Destiny and will never find a flaw in the game and don't mind spending hundreds on this game, then good for you, and I'm honestly glad that you found something that you love so much. But for the rest of you and me who don't like dropping a paycheck for one game, then this video is for you. Okay, with that said, let's begin the discussion, and there'll be timestamps down below for those of you who want to skip around the conversation. When Destiny 1 was first released, I won't lie to you, I absolutely hated the game, and it seemed so shallow and void of any meaningful content outside of just shooting monsters in a cave.
Spawn inside that cave, and you continually just wreck them over and over and over and over, and this is how you farm. This is how you. And
praying to the great Cryptarch himself not to screw me over.
The last city on Earth and everyone in it, including all I get for it is a f***ing armband that's 20 light levels lower than the one I've already got?
That's a rare specimen.
Needless to say, after just a couple weeks, I was bored beyond belief and couldn't believe that the great company of Bungie, behind the excellent Halo games, could lie so much from the trailers to release, and seemingly remove the campaign entirely.
Why is the city breathing down my neck?
Why don't you put that down so we can talk?
Out here in the wild, this is how we talk.
And put in a story seemingly written by a 5th grader who had been procrastinating until the night before.
Why have you been watching us?
I don't even have time to explain why I don't have time to explain. I will. I know.
Will what?
I wasn't talking to you, little light.
I'm a ghost, actually.
Once I had been robbed of getting an exotic about 5 times while my best friends, who are awful at shooting games, got the best stuff in the game, I was done with Bungie and swore off Destiny. When the first 2 expansions came and went, I had no interest in returning to the game, as the taste in my mouth was still so sour and bitter. But once The Taken King came out, it was finally introducing what I'd wanted so badly, a meaningful story with actual characters and lore.
How about an unsanctioned op using modified stealth tech to infiltrate a dreadnaught above Saturn's rings so we can knock out its weapons, create a transmat zone, and send in the cavalry?
How about test flight? It'll be waiting for you when you're ready.
I saw the price tag for me to pick it all up after selling my original copy was $60, which felt like a steal. And in a sense it was. I was getting the base game, 2 okay expansions, and 1 great expansion that was basically a content overhaul with several redesigns, and introduced a huge new area, a good story, new weapons, new missions, a new raid, and new subclasses, including my all-time favorite, the Dawnbreaker. The Titan already looks amazing, so adding in a flaming version of Thor's hammer was all I needed to get aboard the Destiny hype train. Plus, I absolutely love the multiplayer, as Bungie never quite lost that touch when making this aspect addicting and adrenaline fueled. With this expansion and shortly after, The Rise of Iron, I thought, wow, this is a great game and an amazing package. Destiny was still nothing close to what I'd hoped and saw it could be at E3 during its initial reveal, but it was a great different experience. At this point, I was now a Destiny fanboy and couldn't wait to get entangled in Destiny's sprawling universe. Then when Destiny 2 was announced, my hype was through the roof, as it looked like it would basically be a Taken King 2.0, and with the promise that our Guardians would transfer over, I kept thinking in my head that the game would include so much of Destiny 1's content. Then the game came out, and as we all know, the music, Visuals, gameplay, multiplayer, and so much more was incredible. But once again, the game felt shallow on content. It wasn't as bad as vanilla Destiny 1, but it likewise lacked the gameplay MMO depth that the previous entry had. And then once I saw the expansion schedule, I realized the game was going to be following the exact same path as Destiny 1, and while some were excited, I was not. Because that meant for me, it would be $60 for the base game, $20 for each of the first 2 expansions, and $40 for the eventual Taken King-like expansion, which Forsaken obviously is. If you're decent at math, then you know that ends up totaling to around $140. And then with another expansion on the way, bringing its total up to $180 without adding in any taxes. For some people, that isn't a lot of money. For others, it's a game and franchise they love so much that they don't mind paying $180 for the complete Destiny experience as soon as each new update is released. For me, however, and millions of others out there, this is the price equivalent of 3 full AAA games on launch date pricing, meaning you're effectively holding the monetary value of Cyberpunk 2077, Borderlands 3, and Starfield right in your hands. That seems a little absurd to me, and the gravity of that price didn't really set in until recently. With the news Bungie had split from Activision, the game was adding cross-save features, allowing console players to move their accounts over to PCs if they so desire, and the announcement that the game was sort of going free-to-play, you would think there couldn't be any negatives of independent Bungie. I disagree though. Yes, there's been many changes, but the pricing model is still very much the same. Eververse will undoubtedly be expanded upon, and Bungie is finding new things to monetize, such as combat finishers. If Bungie ever considers monetizing armor customization, then it will officially be game over for them. But I don't think that'll happen though, as they know the visual appearance of Guardians is how each player gets to express themselves and show off their in-game accomplishments, which is one of the best features of Destiny, and one of the many reasons I'm addicted to the franchise. But the next DLC is already controversial, in the sense that it is reusing old Destiny 1 content, and charging people to return to old locations. And the free-to-play aspect of Destiny 2 is decent for people who haven't played any of Destiny 2. However, when looking more into it, it's missing vital features. Sure, everything is included in the free-to-play version of the game, minus the story missions, strikes, and raids of the new content, but in a sense, that is the essence of the expansions. The Dreadnaught and the Taken King was a great area, but minus the story and raid, I more than likely wouldn't have come back to the game. So when you think about it, this is kind of serving as a paywall to those who download it for free, because at some point they'll hit a wall where they need to buy the newest expansion to enable them to participate in the meat of the game. Still, for new players who haven't spent anything on the base game, this is an incredible deal. Pay $40 to $60 and then boom, you have years worth of content in front of you. My argument is not to determine whether or not an initial purchase like this is good value. It is, it's great value. However, once that initial purchase has been made, what is that player now? They are now a returning player, meaning to get the next DLC, they will not have to fall into the loop of constantly shelling out money for expansions. They are no longer a free-to-play player or a new buyer, and this is where I have my issue. I am glad Destiny 2 appears to be taking a route of being a game that will serve as a constantly expanding canvas for years to come. Making players pay for expansions, after all, is nothing new. But this is a game that is also infested with microtransactions, and I have no doubt Bungie will slowly add more and more into this microtransaction pool, such as the recently announced combat finishers. Also, when looking at the popularity of season passes and expansions, it's pretty easy to see that the new trend is to do away with these, and instead rely on microtransactions as a way for developers to make money post-launch, while providing a steady flow of new content. Destiny is one of the few franchises that seems stuck in the past. Not only are they keeping paid expansions and season passes, but they also have added in microtransactions like those other developers. It is true debates can be made about which one works better. For example, I enjoyed Battlefield 3 immensely with its excellent expansions and season pass. And I've hated Battlefield 5 so far with its free expansions and inclusions of microtransactions. But each game had one or the other. They did not have both, and therefore I don't think Destiny should do both. When Bungie was with Activision, all the blame could go onto them. But now that Bungie is on their own, they had the opportunity to pull out all the stops and decide if Destiny would be free to play or expansion based, and instead they're continuing to do both. Bungie's free-to-play version of Destiny will still surely be great, and again, the game will always be good for players that are initial buyers. But at the moment, this current monetization model does nothing but exploit their most loyal fans, as if you constantly buy the new content immediately upon release, Destiny will probably become your most expensive game ever on console. I know that buying something new or at release is always expensive, but with single player games, there's no one you're competing with and trying to stay on pace with, therefore you can wait and buy it later. With multiplayer focused games, it's all about staying with the flow, which is why Bungie either needs to completely stop charging for purchases, make the game entirely free to play like Warframe, or at the very least, introduce a customer loyalty service that makes it to where returning expansion consumers get discounts on DLCs, that increases over time with a cap, and even allow the system to be further expanded to where the more achievements you complete, the more quests and stories you finish, and the more you play, the higher the discount is for the player. This would allow Bungie to still keep a version of the current model, but it would also reward their most hardcore fans, who have stuck with the franchise forever and made it the game it is today. And it'd also make it feel as if Bungie truly cares about them. The ball is in your court, Bungie. Every move from here on out is all on you. You have a truly great franchise here, and the opportunity to take the AAA looter shooter genre by storm. Or you can continue a pricing model that has strong negative core foundations for returning consumers. Well, I've now laid out the objective facts alongside some of my own opinions and thoughts. Like I said, I am still excited for Shadowkeep, and I know for a fact that Destiny 2 will continue to be a juggernaut in the gaming industry, regardless of whether or not any of these suggestions are heeded. But I would love nothing more than to see Bungie go as high as they can, and there are ways to do that that benefit both them and the consumer. Well, that's all for my thoughts, guys. I hope you enjoyed this discussion and conversation, and I'd love to hear your comments and thoughts as well. Do you agree with me on Destiny's current pricing model? Do you like any of my suggestions, or do you want it to stay the same? Let me know in the comments down below, and if you like this video and you want to see more like it, be sure to leave a like, share the video, and hit that subscribe button. And I'll see you all on the next Shepherd Gaming video. Keyless Ally.